Hey, what's up you guys? It's Lexi DIY and welcome back to my YouTube channel. You might recognize my voice anyway from my TikTok account where I do a bunch of hot mess house renovation videos. And basically what I do over here on my YouTube channel is I just kind of give you a more in-depth behind the scenes look at all of the projects that I'm doing. And yeah, I love YouTube. It's so much fun. So make sure if you aren't already, you subscribe and hit that bell notification so that you never miss when I upload next. And today we're gonna be doing our entryway transformation. You guys won't believe how much of a difference just these simple little things did. So without further ado, let's just go ahead and hop right into the video. We started by replacing the old switches. As you can see, it's a super ugly beige color. We had already painted the entryway minus the door when we painted the entire house. So you can see it used to be a beige color and we just went over it with white. We used bare solid opal, and then obviously all of the electricity is turned off. The main breaker is turned off and we're double checking with our little electrical tool. And then Dustin just replace the switches with some white ones. And then while the electrical was still off, he took down the old light fixture so that we could put up a new one. Now, we did have a little bit of trouble getting up the new one, but eventually we got it and it made such a huge difference. After we finally got the new light fixture on, we started to put in the bulbs that it came with. Now, we absolutely love these, and the light fixture was only around like $85 at Lowe's, I think. I'll try to link it below, but it was a little bit yellow or kind of like orangey. You'll see in some of the footage of me painting that it just didn't look quite right, so I ended up changing them out a little bit later in the video, you'll see. First, I started by prepping the door, so I just sprayed it with some Dawn power wash and kind of like let it sit for a few minutes, and then Dustin helped me take off the security thing just so I didn't get paint on it. And I just wiped it down with a paper towel and my Dawn power wash spray. Now, I probably should have done this later because I ended up having to clean the door again. You'll see why later in the video. But then I just went ahead and started to take off these little brackets that held the old owner's curtains. These were really difficult to get off. They were super stripped, and I had to get one of them off with a pair of pliers and a lot of force, and that took me like 45 minutes, so I did not film that part because I was just frustrated. Next, I just filled in those holes that I had created from taking those little brackets off with some wood filler. I used my fingers, and you'll see here, well, sorry, the lighting's bad, but that I actually filled in some of the cracks around the windows with this too, which really ended up making it look so much better when I painted it. And then here's this larger crack, and I just went ahead and filled it in with some caulking and then smoothed it out with my finger in like a wet paper towel, and it looks so much better. While the wood filler was drying, I went ahead and taped around the molding on the front door just so that I wouldn't get black paint everywhere. And then I went ahead and took off the old hardware. Now, it was really weird. They had it keyed on the top on both sides, which you don't normally see in a house, so we really hated that because anytime we wanted to unlock the front door, we had to use the key inside and outside, which was just like really weird because normally you only use it on the outside. So I took all of that off, and then I taped up the edge of the door because I'm not painting the front just yet or on the inside. I'm just painting the inside of the front door for now. I will be painting the outside later, but you know, just didn't want to do it yet. After I let all of the wood filler dry, I just went back and sanded down the excess to make sure that I had a smooth surface to work with. And I actually ended up sanding the entire door, just giving it a super quick light sand to make sure that the paint would stick to it. And this is why I should have probably just waited to wash, or not wash, but you know, like clean the door till later, because I ended up going back and like dusting it off just to make sure that there was no debris that would get inside the paint. But I actually didn't use dawn again, I just went back with like a dry paper towel and kind of brushed it off to make sure that it was all good to go. And you can see that actually like a lot of dirt and grime came up with that. So I don't know, maybe I didn't like clean it good enough the first time. And then I put down some like painter's plastic just so that I wouldn't get paint everywhere, but actually that ended up happening anyway. You'll see in a few minutes. And then I opened my can of paint and really just wanted to show this because it's super satisfying, and I'm sure I'm gonna get a lot of questions about what paint I used. So when I first started off, I used a flat black paint, and it's bare in just the color black, but I then decided that I was going to use a semi-gloss just because it was a front door and I knew that it was going to be a high traffic area, so I didn't know how well the matte would hold up, especially because, like, you know, I know it's on the inside of the door, but the elements are closer to it, I don't know. So I just started to go ahead and paint on the trim and everything with a paintbrush. Now, this paintbrush was not very good, so I ended up going and getting another one that I used to go back and like do the trim, the small parts. I did not tape up the windows because frankly I just did not feel like it. And honestly it wasn't that bad. As long as you're pretty careful, you don't really need to tape up the windows. So I was going around and getting in all of the little crevices first before I went back with a roller because I knew that I wasn't going to be able to reach those with my paint roller. So yeah, I just want to make sure everything had a good first coat on it. Also, public service announcement, this cute little foam roller that is one of my absolute favorites is actually from Dollar Tree, and I know that that's hard to believe, but their foam roller, I just am so obsessed with it. I keep like a bunch in my house. Me and Dustin both love using them because they're just really good and you know, they're cheap. So I love the Dollar Tree tiny foam rollers. Definitely get you some, but skip out on their actual paint brushes. Definitely go and get like a brush that's made for trim to do this for the actual brush part because it's only like $3 or $4 and it works way, way better. I had to open the door just to get on the inside so that, you know, no white was showing. And at this time is when I started to use my semi-gloss paint. Now, I'm really happy that I switched to semi-gloss because I really, really liked the finish of it. So excited about that. But yeah, I just went back and did all of the little trim pieces by the windows, and if you get any paint on there you can just kind of like scrape it off, or you know there is like this stuff that you can paint on the windows and then like take it off with a razor blade after, that's like a film that goes over while you paint, but I was like nah, I just don't feel like doing that, so kind of took the lazy way out. And then I went around the door on the edges just to make sure that it was good to go, and I went back in the hard to reach spots with the brush yet again, and I did all of the outside trim with the brush just because it was a lot easier to get into all the little details with the brush as opposed to the foam roller, obviously. So you can see the difference in paint here now that I'm using the semi-gloss, but I really, really like it. You can also tell from this shot how after the first layer of paint, it was just very patchy. I think that the matte paint is a little thinner, so it dries a little bit patchier. When I went over it with the semi-gloss, I only had to do one coat. So I did one coat of the matte and one coat of the semi-gloss, and it turned out really, really good. There were like a few little spots that I had to go roll over again or just touch up with the brush that maybe was a little less covered by the matte paint at first, but overall only took me like 2 coats. Now I'm putting on the new hardware for the new door handle. These screws ended up being like way too long because they would have definitely like gone out past the trim. So we had to change the screws, but I realized that this hardware was not going to fit and I was like, oh no. So I tried to like carve it out and I ended up splitting the wood, as you'll see here. Big yikes on that. Tried to use a saw that was not meant for that, and then I was like, hey, I have a multi-tool. I'm just going to cut it out with my multi-tool, and as you can see, my camera decided to, you know, only show my shoulder in that shot, but here you can see a little bit better. I'm just using the multi-tool. This is so great. It has so many uses. This was my first time using it, and it was super easy. Definitely love it. I just cut out enough so that my new hardware would fit in. Then I just drilled in where I had marked the holes for the new hardware, and after I was done with that, I went ahead and actually drilled the screws and the hardware on. During this process, Dustin accidentally knocked over the can of paint, which is kind of my fault. I definitely should have just like put it up, but then this happened. So there's a big black stain on our carpet from the paint. The first part, I scooped up the rest of it into that trash bag, like with a spoon and a shovel to get like as much of it as I could out, and then I started using our cleaner. You can see my hands are like literally covered in black paint. It's really okay. Oh, I used some Dawn Power Wash because like I'm convinced that this can clean anything. Didn't really work. That's totally fine. I was just kind of like letting it sit in there for a little while. And we're gonna be pulling up this carpet soon anyway, so it's really not that big of a deal, but I was just trying to get out as much as I could because we can't actually pull the carpet up yet to refinish the hardwood floors until the walls come down. Like, it's a whole thing, and you know, obviously we're not miracle workers and we don't have like $1 million to get it all done at one time. So I was just trying to make it look as good as possible. If you guys know any other way to get stains, black paint stains out of my carpet, please let me know. This Bissell Pet Destroyer cleaner was like really good, and it did help a lot, but basically I ended up pushing the stain around. So I did what I could, but it's fine. It's fine. So when you see a big stain at the end in the reveal video, this is why, and please don't judge me. Then I put on the new hardware for the door. Now, as you can see, my front door is not painted yet and it looks a little crusty. So I'm gonna have to take this off when I repaint the front door, but I'm not really doing anything to the outside of the house yet. So I figured that could just wait for later. I had to drill a hole because before it only had like a knob, and I wanted an actual like full handle. So that actually wasn't too difficult. And then I just lined it up. It did take me a while to actually get it to go all the way in because I needed to carve out the top hole a little bit, which was frustrating. But this handle made a huge impact on how the door looked, and I know that some people might be like, oh, black on black. It's just my vibe, you know? I like it, so that's what I'm going with. So I don't know. Should I paint the outside of the door white, like just give it a fresh coat, or should I paint it black, like the inside? Let me know. Let me know what you think, because I'm going to be doing that quite soon. Anyway, like I had mentioned earlier in the video, I didn't love the light that these light bulbs were giving off. As you can see, they look a little golden anyway. I absolutely love the way that they look, but just not the light that they were giving off. So I found these bulbs at Target, and I went ahead and just switched them out. I might try to find some more that look a little bit longer like the first bulbs, but until now, the light from these was much brighter and just looked a lot better in the space. Now, since everything was dry, I went ahead and peeled off the painter's tape that was all the way around the door, and here you can see my lovely stain. It's okay. This rug I actually already had, but it's from Five Below, and then I put this plant that I got from Home Goods, and this is what it looks like before and after. way to the end of the video, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I've been trying to grow my YouTube channel, and I'm just so grateful for all the new faces here that are, you know, coming and watching my videos every week. It really helps me out, you guys. I just got monetized, so I really appreciate you guys. All of the money that I'm making from YouTube and TikTok is going directly into the house so that I can keep putting out these projects for you guys, and so that we could just get it done faster. So I really appreciate it. Make sure to go follow me on all of my other socials. They'll be linked on the screen, and they're also going to be linked in the description. If you're looking for any of the stuff that I used in my house project so far, I do have an Amazon list of things that are either similar or exact things that I've been using to renovate the house. So make sure that you check that out. I do make a small commission if you end up ordering something, so don't feel obligated, but it is there if you want to look or you're just curious about something. But until next week, I love you guys so much, and I really appreciate you for watching. So I hope you all have a great rest of your week, and I will see you later. Bye!